And there we are. Okay. And I'm speaking to.
Perfect.
And
You're speaking to me. Yes, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, that made his way over the hill to an essential part of America, but also a critical county and district here in Nevada. It's going to potentially determine the fate and future of our democracy and our nation here in this election. So could not be more proud and pleased to be here, and more enthusiastic about all the early voting that's happening out here in Nevada. I mean, the fact that 70% of the votes already been cast is extraordinary. We're talking on a Sunday, still 2 days to go. It's just remarkable what's happening out there.
And Governor, specifically, why Reno? Like, why this neck of the woods? I mean, you could have gone to anywhere else in Nevada, Las Vegas, Elko.
I mean, because we're in arguably one of the most, historically speaking, one of the counties that has had outsized influence on where Nevada goes, and where Nevada goes disproportionately historically has had an outsized influence on where the outcome of the presidency has gone. So it's, for me, one thing you learn as a former county supervisor, former county mayor, bottom up, not top down. And it really is community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, district by district. And also, let's be a little candid, my father lived just a stone's throw away on the other side of the hill in Truckee, and my parents met in Squaw Valley, and I spent a good part of my life spending here in Reno proper and throughout Nevada. So it's also like being back home.
So it's kind of a friendly visit back to see how things are.
It is a friendly visit, and it's good to check back in too, because look, we have a great relationship with the state, and we were with the Lieutenant Governor, your former Attorney General, right. And obviously very concerned about the future of the economy here, future of COVID and the spread and the transmission rates. Great relationship with Governor Sisolak, and we've been advancing partnerships that go much further beyond just Lake Tahoe proper, which we've long established relationships, but on the issues of economic growth, trade, tourism, and now working very collaboratively, even on vaccine distribution, as Nevada and California have joined forces on a scientific advisory review to make sure that we have a vaccine that's efficacious and also one that is distributed with equity in mind.
And not to get, I'm glad you kind of talked about cooperation and and the current situation we're in, because we're also members of the Western States Pact.
Yep.
And why is that important for Nevadans and Californians to be aware of?
I think it's the old adage, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And the idea that we can have a collective voice where you have Oregon and Washington, you have Nevada. We want to connect often we can with New Mexico, obviously, and Colorado, as we've done. That's a remarkable opportunity to express and flex muscle, to punch above our weight. And when you add those states together, you're talking about a GDP that is bigger than half the other states. So it's a remarkable opportunity, again, not just in a COVID environment, but even post-COVID environment, where we hope to maintain those relationships, establish even stronger partnerships. And I've got to tell you, critical in that is going to be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Rather than the headwinds of lawsuits coming from the Trump administration, attacks on the values of these Western states on issues of forest fires, issues related to climate change, issues related to low carbon green growth, issues related to immigration, issues related to hospitality industry, retail, economic development, rather than pushing against the weight of opposition of our strategies, to actually have an administration that's supporting and helping curate and advance those strategies. It's a profound opportunity, and regardless of your political party, let me assure you that the opportunity to jumpstart and leap ahead on economic development and workforce development, that is assured in a Biden-Harris administration. And one other thing that's assured is we're going to continue to face threats and recriminations against this state, Nevada, my state, California, and other states on the West Coast if Trump's reelected.
And I'm glad you talked about leadership as effect. I mean, talking about taking charge and, going in a direction. To the folks here in this neck of the woods, why is, from your standpoint, and it's ironic I'm asking about leadership, because you do it every day. Why does leadership matter?
Well, leadership's never mattered more, and I think one of the important paradigms, and it's an ironic one to bring up in the context of an election, but you don't have to be something to do something. And I think leadership can be found anywhere, and I want to encourage people in their own right to lead. People have a capacity to lead in terms of their neighborhood organization and their PTA, or they can get involved in their school or Rotary Club. They can lead in the next few days by making sure that they're participating by volunteering and getting people to come out and vote regardless of their political persuasion. And the fact is, leadership can be found anywhere. We just need to amplify more leaders and more leadership that can exercise something that's missing, I say respectfully, in this country, and that's moral authority. We have a president that exercises every single day leadership from a paradigm of top-down, command and control, formal authority. And the more you exercise your formal authority, it tends to diminish over time. The more you advance your moral authority, it tends to become more and more abundant. And everybody has the capacity to lead through moral authority, regardless of whether or not they have a title in front of their names, or regardless of the fact that they're not something that is identified readily as quote-unquote leader. I think we need to change that paradigm. So leadership is so foundational, and leadership, this is a leadership moment.
In closing, sir, if you could talk to my neighbor in this town who hasn't gotten a chance to vote, tell them why they should get out the door and do something.
I'll tell you, I mean, there's nothing worse than people just complaining about the world and the way it is, and pointing fingers and abdicating any responsibility for actually engaging and trying to change it. One thing I can guarantee you is nothing's going to fundamentally change unless you do get out and vote. I mean, if you care enough about what's going on in the world around you, and I think all of us do to some degree, some lesser degree, then vote. And don't, it's not just, I know there's a presidential race, but there's also school board races, there's city council races. They're profoundly important things that have a direct impact on your life. People that decide whether or not that stop sign goes up, whether or not that crosswalk gets repainted. People that decide whether or not that pothole or that street light that's been out for 6 months actually fixed the damn thing. I mean, that should matter in some way, shape, or form in terms of your life, even if you don't believe or care about foreign policy, or that changing people in Washington, D.C. ever makes a damn difference in your life. So just exercise your right, this privilege that has been hard earned, but it's a right, and see how it goes. And I'll tell you what, for people that I know, the first time voters, it's a pretty profound experience, and you'll never know it unless you do it. You'll actually feel something. It's actually shocking. You really feel good about yourself. It's like one of those things where you're feeling a little down, you're feeling a little depressed, feeling totally disempowered, disengaged, and you vote. And you know what? You can cancel out the person you can't stand more, because their vote counts just as much as your vote. So all of a sudden you're like, boom, at least this person didn't get their way. And so if you no matter how you slice it, it gives you something that you didn't have before. And it's also the ability to say, you know what? I'm not in peril of being judged not to have lived at this moment, because this is a foundational moment. It's a hinge moment in American and world history. And folks are going to look back, your kids, grandkids will look back and say, where were you, Mom, Dad? And you can say, you know where I was? I was voting, son, and I was very proud to cast that vote.
Governor, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I feel like I've seen you, from mayor to the steps of the Capitol building, and good to always talk to you, whether it be at Lake Tahoe to even now in my hometown. So
love it. Good to be out here in Reno.
Likewise, sir. And thus ends my interview with California Governor Gavin Newsom, and out on video.